Hi. Thick cities with the US built battery pack have a design flaw. If you turn on the car in the wrong way, it blows up. Not the whole car, obviously. A small part inside the battery pack blows up and renders the car inoperable. And yes, I will demonstrate this. This video contains an explosion. And my thing specifically has an additional problem. The battery pack in it is very high mileage and suffers from quite a large amount of degradation. Originally, this battery pack would have been 23 kilowatt hours. Now I estimate it's about 12 kilowatt hours. It won't go very far. This is totally fine with me. Even with just 12 kilowatt hours, it still goes as far as I need it to go. However, when I told the guy I bought this car from about the degradation in the battery pack, he said, "Oh, I didn't know that. Do you want to swap batteries with me?" He offered to give me the lower mileage, higher capacity battery out of his other Think in exchange for the high mileage, low capacity battery out of this one. He offered to do the work and for free. I don't really need the extra capacity, but how am I going to say no to that? Plus, I get to look inside a Think's battery pack? Sign me up! So that's what we're doing today. We're fixing the Think's explosive design flaw and swapping battery packs between two Thinks. Let's go! This is Kyle. And this is Kyle's black Think, the car that he's giving me the battery pack out of. He estimates the capacity of the battery pack in the black Think is about 18 kilowatt hours, which is a big improvement over my 12. Now, Kyle offered to do the work on this project, but I thought I'd be contributing a little bit. But no, he did all of the work. I mean, 98% of it. I just sat around like a fool holding the camera and filming him. Anyway, we got straight to work because he knows what he's doing. The first step was to drop the battery pack out of the black car. And the first step for that was to disconnect the 12-volt battery.
So I think in Europe you could access it, but now they put the power steering pump there and the air conditioning.
Wait, European ones didn't have power steering or air conditioning?
No. And maybe you could get it as an option, but many of them don't.
Then he disconnected this grounding strap on the battery pack through this access hatch under the passenger seat. He removed this protective cover for the high voltage inlet on the front of the battery pack.
We'll do it the right
way. The plug's inside that hole.
Mm-hmm.
That's awful.
Yeah.
The pack has to be dropped down a few inches before the high and low voltage plugs can be disconnected from the front of the pack, so we did that. That is the connector from the Coda. And that's all there is to removing the battery pack out of a Think City. And you said this big void in the back is the heater for the Zebra battery pack?
That's where it would have sat, yeah.
It's just crazy.
And there's an access panel on the top.
As a reminder, the Zebra battery pack is the sodium nickel chloride battery option that was available on European market Thinks that had to be kept at 300 degrees Celsius. And this is the access panel for the logic board of the battery pack?
Yeah, for the main. Look at this one. This one's spicy too.
Oh, what do you mean by spicy?
You'll see the pre-charge resistor is spicy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's all puffed up?
Yeah. So, good thing we did it.
This video is sponsored by Factor.
Easy to prepare meals delivered at your convenience.
Factor meals are meals delivered straight to your door in a chilled box. To prepare a Factor meal, just choose your meal, in my case, smoky onion burger. Slide off the cardboard cover, stab the film to vent it, and pop it in the microwave to cook it for the amount of time specified on the box. And just like that, you've got a delicious hot meal ready to go. And this smoky onion burger is so good. My smoky onion burger is good, but how's your pulled pork meal, you complete and total stranger?
It's really good. I actually finished it, and it's nice.
Factor meals are perfect for when you don't want to cook or for when you haven't eaten for hours and you suddenly realize, hey, you know what? I'm super hungry. And they have a variety of options to suit your dietary preferences like keto, calorie smart, and vegan.
Plus they have add-ons like cold pressed juices.
If you want to try Factor for yourself, go to factor75.com and use code AgingWheelsFB50 at checkout for 50% off plus free breakfast for a year. Again, that's factor75.com and use code AgingWheelsFB50 for 50% off plus free breakfast for a year. Again, thanks again to Factor for sponsoring this video. So what's this explosive design flaw? Well, in short, if you know what these words mean, the pre-charge resistor is undersized, so if you turn the car on with the heater on, it overloads the pre-charge resistor and fries it. If you don't know what some of those words mean, this is a high voltage contactor, essentially a big enclosed switch. You put 12 volts into this side, contacts close, bridges these two terminals, and they are now connected. Remove the 12 volts, contactor opens, and these two terminals are now disconnected and isolated from each other. In an EV, a contactor is what's used to isolate the high voltage battery from the high voltage loads in the car. Or when you want to turn the car on and use it, connect them. But you can't just close contactors and connect everything up immediately. For one thing, the contacts will spark. A lot more than what you're seeing here. This is just 48 volts. And every time it sparks, it degrades and wears out the contacts. Another reason is if you just close contactors, a lot of current will rush into these high voltage loads, and that inrush current can damage sensitive electronics. Which is why EVs have a pre-charge circuit. Before the contactors are closed fully, the high voltage battery is connected to the high voltage load through a pre-charge resistor like this one, which is just a really big resistor. This one I think is out of an early Smart. A resistor resists the flow of current, so the voltage in the load can be brought up slowly over time, over half a second or so. And then after that's done, then the contactors can close. And because the voltage in the load was already the same as the battery pack, there's very little inrush current or sparking, if any at all. The problem with the Think, specifically ones with the Interdel battery pack, is that pre-charge resistor is undersized. Pre-charge resistors are supposed to get warm when they're connected, but because the one in the Think is too small, it gets really hot when it's connected. And if you turn the car on with the heater on, that heater is enough extra high voltage load to overload the pre-charge resistor and push it beyond its failure point. And to show you what happens when a pre-charge resistor fails, I picked a pre-charge resistor to sacrifice and set up a demonstration. When I turn on this power supply, this contactor will close, and this pre-charge resistor will be shorted across this battery module.
Contact.
Nothing happened. Nothing happened. The voltage of a single module is too low, so the thing that I was trying to demonstrate didn't happen, but the resistor did get really hot. I think my temp gun is maxed out, so I'm flying blind now. Starting to smell, so I'm going to slightly poke it. Oh yeah, I'm setting the table on fire. Let's turn that off now. I think the voltage from a single module was too low, so I've hooked up 6 modules in series for a total of around 350 volts. This should do it. Take 2. Contact. Whoa. Holy crap! Oh my god! That's what happens when you overload a pre-charge resistor. It explodes! Just to be clear, I dead shorted this for the demonstration. An explosion that would happen in reality from overloading a pre-charge resistor would not be as violent as what you just witnessed, but it does still explode. As evidence, here's a blown pre-charge resistor from a Think. There is no saving that board. And here's the board we just took out of the black car. The pre-charge wasn't blown in this one, but you can clearly see it got hot and even melted through the zip tie that was holding it down. Now I did oversimplify a bit when I said turning the car on with the heater on will blow the pre-charge resistor. They weren't quite that stupid. Actually, what happens when you turn the car on for the first time is it delays turning on the heater until after the pre-charge process is complete to prevent burning up the pre-charge resistor. However, if you turn the car off and then within a few seconds turn it back on again with the heater on, in that scenario, it doesn't delay turning on the heater. It turns it on immediately, which overloads your pre-charge resistor, and you get a little tiny bomb in your battery pack, and your Think's now a paperweight. And because these geniuses put this pre-charge resistor on the main logic board, when it blows up, it can take out the whole board. Thankfully, the fix for this is incredibly easy. Just bypass the undersized pre-charge resistor that's soldered to the logic board with a bigger one. This is such a common problem that Kyle didn't have to source any of these parts himself. He just bought a kit, a resistor bypass kit. It even came with a wiring diagram.
Think parts for you.
We'll put the logic board back in the battery box in a second, but first, let's have a look at those battery modules. Oh, that smells awful.
Yeah.
This is all Interdel, right?
All Interdel. I think they just arrived at the factory like this.
The voltage is roughly 350 volts, and the pack chemistry is, I don't know, but it's not lithium iron phosphate. This pack does look nice, but you can tell it's early days because this says welding cable on it. These are push-to-fit connectors, which is an odd choice for a car. And the energy density of these cells is terrible. This is a 23 kilowatt hour battery pack, which means each one of these modules is 2.8 kilowatt hours. This is a modern lithium iron phosphate cell. It happens to be almost exactly the same width as one of these modules, and you could fit roughly 6 of these cells in place of one of these modules. If I were to swap out these modules for these lithium iron phosphate, the capacity would go from 23 kilowatt hours to 46. And lithium iron phosphate's on the low end of energy density. If you stuff this battery box with NMC cells, you could fit 80 kilowatt hours or more. If you hear someone say battery technology hasn't improved, That person's a dum-dum. Anyway, time to put that logic board back, which first requires finding a home for that new, much larger pre-charge resistor. He just mounting taped it to the side of the battery box, and then reinstall the logic board. Before sealing the battery box back up, it's a good idea to connect it up to the car to make sure we didn't screw anything up. And then we encountered an issue. The low voltage connector to the battery pack had corroded pins, which we already knew, but in attempting to clean it up to reconnect it, one of the pins broke off. Luckily, Kyle had a replacement connector from a different thing. We had to go to his house an hour away to get it, but that's better than having to order it off Mauser or something. Once this connector was achieved, he spliced it onto the car and we were back in business. Then we hooked up the battery pack, tried to turn on the car, and, well, his face says it all. No contactor sound? No. So he pulled out his Think Diagnostic laptop that he brought with him to see why the contactors weren't closing. And the battery pack wasn't communicating at all. He checked and jiggled all the connections, made sure everything was right, and then with basically nothing changed, tried it again. Take two, nothing has changed. Uh-oh!
Yes.
It made noises.
It worked.
Oh, cool. The problem was just a loose grounding strap. And now that we've verified it works, we can seal up this battery box. Then it was time to trade thinks, because the battery we just took out of the black think is going in my blue think. And it was the same process as before. Disconnect the 12-volt battery, disconnect the grounding strap, remove this cover, drop the battery pack a little bit. Oh. But then we had to stop. His lift cart stopped reliably lifting.
I mean, son of a, I don't know what.
Rather than potentially be crushed by a battery pack, we decided to call it a day, and the next morning I went out and bought a new lift cart that wouldn't try to kill us, and continued on. Anyway, like I was saying, drop the pack a little bit, disconnect the high and low voltage cables from the front, and drop the pack all the way. Kyle has already had this battery pack apart before, and there's evidence of it all over. Absolutely nothing void if cut. This battery pack has already had the bigger pre-charge resistor installed, so we don't need to do that on this one. We basically just opened it up to make sure it wasn't wet in there and to throw in some silicon desiccant for good measure. Then it was time to put the better battery from the black think into my blue think. Installation's a little bit harder than dropping the battery pack because there's the small matter of aligning all the bolt holes, but eventually we got it. Then we reconnected the high voltage, reconnected the grounding strap, and reconnected the 12-volt battery. Will it turn on? Yay! Then the blue think got evicted. Then the black think was brought in to put in the battery pack for my blue think, which originally came from his red think. This is the third car this battery pack is going into. Does it on? Yay! And that's that. And now, my think has more capacity. Kyle estimated this battery pack has about 18 kilowatt hours, and based on the rough state of charge, the estimate the car gives, and the energy delivered by the EVSE, that seems roughly correct. With the other battery pack, this had maybe 30 miles of range, and now it has maybe 45. That's with my usage, which is mostly highway. These numbers are small, but that's a 50% improvement. And if you're wondering, yes, he did devalue his own car just so mine could go a little bit further. To be fair, that black think has a non-functional climate control module, which means no heat and air conditioning. So you could view it as pairing the lesser of the two battery packs with the lesser of the two cars. But offering to swap battery packs with me was still obviously an incredibly generous offer. And by the way, that Black Think City is for sale if you're interested. He's trying to make room for other projects. The battery capacity is about 12 kilowatt hours and the climate control module doesn't work, but aside from those two things, it's a perfectly fine little Think City. If you're interested, and if it's still available, his email address will be down in the description. Huge thanks to Kyle for the everything. My Think City's more usable now. Now I can go on such wild and crazy adventures as going to town twice on a single charge. Unsinkable! And that's it. But before I go, there's one last little thing I want to do to improve my think.